Thank you. Everyone's Jamie Levine. She is with Eversmith Brands, and today is going to talk to us about Prism Specialty Restoration. Ran into this brand recently at a conference and was pretty much like, tell me more. I love B2B. So thank you,
Yay.
Jamie.
Yes, thank you again for having me. I love Eversmith Brands. I love the whole B2B space. It's so much fun. It's just so different compared to the sea of B2C, right?
Right, right.
The B2B is a much smaller pond and way less competition in most cases. We're really pumped about Prism. I'm excited to chat with you and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
your public about
You're
it.
right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Tell us what Prism Specialty is, because I think it's a lot, right? So, but like break down what you guys do as far as franchisees serving their customers.
Prism Specialty Restoration is in the restoration space, but most people, when they think restoration, they're thinking Serve Pro, Paul Davis, 911 Restoration, Puro Clean, etc. And those are the restoration
Right.
companies that hire us. Actually, so that's what makes it a little different is we are content restoration, not the building restoration, right? So the first call goes to those folks. We're second call. And what we're doing is the content of that building. And it could be residential, it could be commercial, it could be a machine shop, a dentist office, or it could be somebody's home. What we're doing is the restoration of mostly water and fire damage. So that could be obviously from
Okay.
wildfires or hurricanes or tornadoes, or just your regular house fire or kitchen fire at a restaurant, those types of things. So we're doing the
Right.
content. So when a franchisee buys into Prism Specialty, they're buying service lines. So it's essentially three franchises in one territory. They will
Okay.
do textiles, which are the clothes, the rugs, the curtains. I'm looking at my curtains, the curtains,
Right.
wedding dresses, those kind
Right.
of things. Then they go into electronic.
Let's dive in just to the textile. What I'm seeing is my basement flooded. My
Mhm.
wedding dress is down there,
Mhm.
right? Then my insurance company can pay to restore that and fix whatever mold, water damage was done. That's
Exactly, exactly. And think of
okay.
like houses. I know somebody that had a furnace, a wood burning furnace that had a blowback is I think what they called it, where a big puff of smoke came out throughout all the vents in the house. So their entire house was covered in soot. There was no fire, but because of this blowback, they had to use a textile restoration situation to have everything cleaned. And so with the textile line, it's not just about washing the clothes, it's about removing the smoke from it, which we use a product, a equipment called a hydrox. I might have said that wrong, but it's a special equipment
Sure.
that pulls out the smell of smoke out of clothes, etc.
So interesting. And insurance is going to pay for that.
Insurance will cover that. So insurance loves
Okay.
what we do because it's cheaper to restore than to replace, right? So when you
Okay.
replace something, like the next service line we're going to talk about is electronics, to replace a brand new washer machine or dishwasher or whatever, or oven range is
Sure.
going to cost way more than to clean
Okay.
it and make any minor repairs
Okay.
that might have happened. So the
Okay.
insurance company would prefer to restore than to replace. And so
Okay.
that's the
Thank
thing,
you.
restore versus replace.
So we talked about textiles. Also, electronics is another service line, basically another franchise available in Prism Specialties. And you can do all three.
We want you to do all three. So before Eversmith Brands purchased Prism Specialty Restoration, they were allowed to buy individual service lines. So we do have a
Okay.
couple of markets that just have art or so what. But
Okay.
moving
Got it.
forward, we understand that the big opportunity for any candidate or any franchisee is to own that market with all the
Okay.
service lines. So moving forward, we're offering territories with all the service lines being purchased. So electronics is going to cover your appliances. It's going to, from a commercial standpoint, like at businesses, think of a dentist chair. That's considered an electronic, right? Because there's all
Okay.
these moving parts on a dentist chair or a
Okay.
machine shop. In a machine shop, they may have had a fire and the machines are covered in soot and including inside the control panel. So that all has to be cleaned out and so forth. So
Okay.
that's the electronic side of it.
Perfect. And then what's the third?
And the third one is art. And this is the part that really kind of specializes us and makes us one of the leading content restoration brands out there. Because
Okay.
most of the content restoration out there is just doing one of these things. We're doing, the bulk of our franchisees are doing all of them, right? And
Okay.
so art is a very specialty situation. And that can be, and I've got a little visual here, that could be anywhere from, restoring family photos, like old
Okay.
photos, to restoring, and this might be a combination, like this is my Nana's Bible, right? It's leather, it has documents inside, to artwork, and I joke
Sure.
and say, if you've got a Pablo Picasso in your basement, first of all, it shouldn't be in the basement. It should
Yeah.
be in a museum and insured highly.
Right.
This
But we
could
get
be
it.
if your grandfather painted was an artist, and you have paintings of your grandfather or your children, maybe your children are artists, or you just have little kids paintings and you want to say salvage those. Those are part of it. So it doesn't have to be fine art. It can, think
Wow.
art is a really big scope, which includes
Okay.
family photos. Think about it from had a flood in your house and there's
Right.
wet pictures everywhere of your family. How
Right.
sad is that, right?
Right. Because I'm
You
that mom,
can't
right? I
replace
have
that.
like, I would be the one to say they're like, don't grab anything. And what I would grab would be my photo albums.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And
So,
now today, people have digital and you can reprint and stuff, but that wasn't always in
right.
existence,
Not at
right?
my wedding.
Yeah, exactly. Not even mine either. So, those are things that they want restored. That's where the art piece comes into play. And
Okay.
I joke because when I got on the brand, I was asking lots of questions, right? So I know that
Sure.
I can have these kind of conversations. And I said, wow, that seems like really specialty, right? Because to hire a technician to do textiles is really simple. You're
Okay.
basically doing laundry, right?
Okay.
Second person technician for electronics, basically a handy person, like a handyman or handywoman that is
Okay.
not afraid of electronics. It's not that difficult to find those people. But
Okay.
I'm thinking art, like who do you get to restore art? Like that's got to be crazy technical. And someone on the team said, Jamie, do you know anybody that has an art degree that doesn't use it? And I was like, yeah, me.
Yeah. Right.
I have an art degree. I went to school. I've got art. I have a bachelor of arts and I am in franchising, so I don't use it, but properly trained because I do know art and I have art experience in painting, drawing, and photography. If they just show me how to do it, then I could do this. And they're like,
Okay.
we give that training. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I
Okay.
couldn't fathom it, right? Like,
Right.
oh, that's so crazy. But of course, if there's a situation where a franchisee takes on a job that is beyond the scope of their
Right.
talent, that's the benefit of a franchise, right? They
Exactly.
can work with other franchisees to help subcontract those pieces out, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that's the beauty of franchising. And there is a fourth line. We don't talk about it much because it's kind of a dying breed, and that's
Mhm.
documents. So that kind of goes back to my Nana's Bible situation,
Okay.
right? So it's drying out documents. That's not going to be used as prevalent today because of the cloud and stuff like that.
Sure.
But there's still plenty of examples of attorneys' offices and dental offices, medical offices, and so forth that
Okay.
have paper that those documents need to be restored. The whole process of drying it out and, believe it or not, using an iron to iron out those pages nice and flat.
Sure. Wow, that's
So, yeah.
crazy. So hopefully, like as you're watching this video, usually we don't go so deep into, right? Because it's like, what is it? HVAC. But this is
Mhm.
so interesting to me. So this is
Mhm.
definitely someone who wants to be in something that's different, needed, B2B, insurance paid. God, you gotta love that part. I mean, that's like
Right.
everything, right? So talk
Exactly.
a little bit about who I'm going to be looking for in an owner. Who are your best owners?
Yeah, so there are two major things that we're looking for, and there's more
Okay,
than two, but these
right.
are I don't want to be here all day, or maybe I do. There's two major things. We want somebody who has a servant's heart that really cares about how they're making money, right? Let's face
Yeah.
it, people or lives are been just flipped upside down by some sort of tragedy, water, fire, smoke damage, even vandalism can be a reason why we'll earn business for our franchisees, right?
Okay.
And so
Okay.
you need somebody that has a lot of empathy, even though they're going to have very minimal interaction with the homeowners, there's still going to be interaction. And you have to
Okay.
understand that you have to be patient and kind. The more you can be that way, the more your reputation grows, right?
Yes.
Because believe it or not, homeowners are actually a client
Okay.
because they are the ones that make the decision on who to use. So typically, the contractor is making the suggestion, like, hey, we'd like to hire
Like
Prism Specialty Restoration.
the restoration company that came in and like sucked out the carpet
Yep, got rid of the
or pulled
water.
out
Yep.
cabinets. That
So
type,
they're the
like,
ones that make
right.
they make the
Okay.
suggestion. We would like to use them, but the homeowner, if they don't like them, can say no, right? Or if they have an
Okay.
experience of a friend who used somebody else, they can say, no, we want to use this company. You
Okay.
go in, if a franchisee goes in and during that process of the evaluation and seeing the damage and creating the estimate, if they get a bad vibe,
Sure.
you're going to lose the business. So you need that servant heart, right?
Got
The
it.
second is we want somebody who has sales experience or networking experience because ultimately, why we do what we do is to help people in a giant time of need. But in order to do that, you've got to be able to get out there and network and sell. And you're networking and
Right.
selling to contractors, to insurance companies, insurance adjusters.
That's the B2B part. That's
Yes, that's
where
the B2B part.
the
Yep.
other businesses that are the vendor are going to be your referral sources.
Yes, exactly. Homeowner situation and even a business owner, they do have the ability to say, no, I don't want to work with them. That doesn't happen very often, but it could happen. But ultimately, you're earning the business from these contractors. And again, contractors are the restoration companies that are called first. ServPro, Puro Clean, Paul Davis, those
Okay.
types of
You're
things.
going out and you're becoming best friends.
Yes, you're going golfing for, yeah, you're doing these networking events and stuff like that. Same with insurance agents and trying to do presentations to them. They're calling
Right.
on the local franchisees of ServPro and stuff like that. Now, we have national accounts, which are preferred vendors to these companies like ServPro, Paul Davis, Puro Clean, 911 Restoration. Same
Okay.
with a few of
Right.
insurance carriers like Allstate, Liberty Mutual, Travelers, and there's a few others so,
Okay.
that we've already created these relationships with, but it's not guaranteed work. That
Absolutely.
allows us, by having these national accounts, it allows us, especially at the franchisor level up here, to have people from our sales team go out and get invited. So, for instance, there could be like a big, huge Serve Pro conference convention.
Right.
They usually do trade show nights, right? And so somebody from our team at the Zor level can go there and have a booth to talk about it, about
Yeah.
why they should partner with us. And so that
Right.
helps open doors for our
Right.
individual franchisees to create those individual relationships. Does
Yeah,
that
if
make
I'm a
sense?
franchisee in this business, I'm joining a networking group and I'm just telling stories. We just helped Aunt Emma restore her wedding dress because she had a flood in her basement and it was just such a good feeling. That story is going to resonate and that story is going to be remembered when that person hears that story, right? Because they're going to
Exactly.
hear it and that's all you want.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you can create so many of those stories from lots of different things, even from business owners and stuff like that. This was,
Yeah.
like I immediately start thinking of things like, have you ever seen those old-fashioned stoves that like people still have and cook out of in their house with the bread maker and stuff like that, like the really
Sure.
old school, like restoring one of those because it was in their family, passed down generation after generation. There's so many many opportunities. So,
Right.
so we need that person that now we require the franchisees to hire a salesperson. We call them a business development
Okay.
manager. So if
Okay.
they're not perfect at it, that's okay, but they have to be open-minded.
Okay.
If they're a shy introvert, it's probably not going to work for them. There is a lot of
Okay.
logistics and operational aspects to this business that people, with those kind of mindsets will fit in. But if you can't sell, you
Right.
can't sell, and then you're dead in the water, right? Those are the two
Got it.
big ones that are important to us right now.
And I think the other thing on this one, just to remember, guys, is that this is not even a part-time, semi-absent business. You need people that are going to get into this business and drive that business forward. We're going to see that in businesses of this size. So let's talk a little bit about the item 19 because
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand we're not an emerging brand,
Right.
unlike some of our other brands with Eversmith, like the Seals and Kitchen Guard. This is a mature business.
Right.
So we have over 170 territories across the country. That gives us
Okay.
a lot of data for our item 19. And so one of the cool things is that an average franchisee with at least two service lines or more, the average gross revenues per year is over $1.6 million. So, and that's with
Wow.
two service lines or more. So we're requiring franchisees coming in to have three service lines, right? What's
Okay.
also cool is that we have in our item 19, we have a breakdown of the average job size per service line. So for instance, textiles is $6,862. Art is $6,679. And
Okay.
electronics is $5,528. But if you think about it, those are the individual jobs for the average. Our item 19 will have a high and a low here. But
Okay.
when you get a job, you're typically doing more than just art or more than just textiles, right? So
Right.
I would say the textiles and electronics are going hand in hand almost every time, right? The way we have the item 19 created through the validation process, they're going to easily be able to start figuring out how they can make money and what goals they can hit. For instance, with current franchisees with Eversmith brands purchasing and now saying, tweaking in, adding some extra resources, etc., the franchisees are like, oh, okay, Eversmith is about to expand our franchise portfolio across, the franchisees. So
Right.
several in the last year have just added on all three service lines within the
Okay.
last 12 months, actually.
Okay. Perfect.
I want to
Perfect.
say, please don't quote me, but like almost 28 new service lines were added to our existing franchisees within the last 12 months because they're like, okay,
Okay.
I see the benefit and I need to have this so that somebody else can't take it from me.
Isn't going to come in and take my, yeah, you
Exactly,
do it or
because
we're not all right.
it's a great business. How many brands, Lisa, do you have in your portfolio that can say they check almost I can't think of a box that it doesn't check.
Right.
It's recession resistant because no matter what the economy is, people are going to rebuild and
Right.
restore when there's a fire, when there's a water damage, when there's a hurricane and tornadoes. AI cannot replace this because that's like the big thing now. People are so
Right.
worried about
I know
AI.
it's the new thing I had to add to my questionnaire. Like, was this
Right,
the Amazon
huge.
proof,
Amazon proof,
recession proof?
exactly.
Not
Recession,
right.
COVID proof now, right? Like there's every year we keep
Yeah, right.
adding
Yep.
another thing, and Prism can check all
Right.
those boxes. Also, Prism only fully staffed is 5 people, Lisa. A lot
That
of
was my next
candidates,
question. Okay,
yeah, a
perfect.
lot of franchisees don't want a lot of employees, right? And they want to have a decent
Right.
work-life balance. So I want to be very clear here. They will get a call in the middle of the night every once in a while, but it doesn't mean they have to get out of their pajamas. Okay.
Right.
Because we're the
Right.
second call, right? So we're
Right.
not the call like, oh, get out of your pajamas and go suck some water out of the basement.
Right.
Hey, I've got some, it's one of your referral partners saying, hey, I just responded to a flood. I need you there in the morning at X amount of time to
We're
do
gonna
the
need you there in the
evaluation
morning.
process,
Yeah.
right? That's a
Right.
good call
Right.
you want to take, right?
Absolutely.
But majority of the work you will have designed to do your
Right.
normal Monday through Friday regular
Right.
hours, right?
Guys, that's like For those of you watching, that's huge. I mean, I have a lot of people love the restoration business, right? It's big money, it's big bucks, it's a beautiful item 19. I show tons of restoration and we love it. The chink in the armor is that you're going to get a call on Christmas Eve and
Yeah.
Christmas Day, like guaranteed, right? It's just
Mhm.
people are using their fire, people are burning fires, people are doing whatever, those emergent calls, and you've got to go. Your
Mhm.
team has to be ready to go. In this case, you can go between 8 and 5 Monday through Friday, right? Or
Right.
if it's a huge project, darn right, you're
You
going in
better
on
show up.
Sunday.
You're right.
Right, you're
Yeah.
going to
There's going
show
to be
up, but
some
it's
little
not an
tiny exceptions.
emergency. Right,
Hmm.
absolutely. It's not the emergency that you have to be the first one to respond and get there right away. So I love that about this
Yeah,
business.
it's
Love
huge.
it.
Now, when you do commercial, because going back to the 5 employees, when you do commercial bids and you get the deal, you do need more people, but you temp that work out. So you use a
Okay,
very specific temp agency for that type of laborer, that
okay,
you temp that out. So it
which is
helps.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So this thing just checks all these boxes. So when you have, people are coming to you, and I know that you have this, I've been doing this, almost 19 years. I can't remember how long you've been, but there's people that are just incredibly risk adverse. This
Right.
this checks off all the boxes for those risk adverse people, but they
Yeah.
also want to feel good about what they're doing.
They want to know their business helps somebody. Not
Yeah,
at not
exactly.
tree hugging, not at the expense of, but yeah, you're right. Talk
Yeah.
about, we kind of skip right over, like talk about the investment into the business, the item 7 for us.
So our item 7 is a little weird because it shows by service line. So the low sides around, I'm just going to round up 163,000, high sides like 300, I think
So they have to
66,000.
do all 3 service lines
But
now.
they
So
have
I'm
to do
sure
all the
that
three
you're
service
changing
lines.
that item
Yeah,
7's
so
going to change
that'll
next year.
likely change.
So how much do they need to do all three service lines?
I would say that they should, the high side of item 7 is about 366,000. So
Okay.
assume that plus,
Okay.
because as you know, an item 7 only covers 3 months of your cost, right?
Of working capital.
But
Okay.
here's the thing, and I will walk the candidates through this item 7 a little bit more detail than I do normal people, but normal brands or other, not normal, never normal, other brands. Normal's boring. Other brands, because we're not requiring them to open all 3 service lines right away. So
Okay.
the cost is the way you look at it might change, right? You'll open
Okay.
first
Got
with
it.
textiles because that's the easiest. Then you'll open electronics, then you open art. And we give them basically a
Okay.
multi-unit development agreement on how that works out. Their
Got it.
costs they can ease into from that perspective.
Love that. How long does it take to get this business going? So like how long is training? I'm thinking
Yep.
right now I want to start, let's go after some territories in especially storm areas, right? I'm
Right,
like,
right.
okay, that's where I'd want to put this thing.
I
So
want to, I do want to come back to that thing about especially storm areas, because some people will say, well, I don't, that my territory doesn't have a lot of natural disaster, right? Like especially here in the
okay.
northeast, right?
That's true.
Just because it might not be a high storm area, it don't
Okay.
rule this out, because
Right, right.
there are people's garages are catching on fire because their electric cars are exploding. It is what it is. There's
Okay.
we love it's the restoration companies love these electric vehicles. So the other thing is, like, think Thanksgiving. How many people are going to catch their houses on fire from trying to fry a turkey on their back porch too close to their house? I mean, there's a statistic out there, I'm sure. How many people are going to accidentally
Okay.
flood their house because their pipes froze, and all these other different things? These things are going to
Yep.
happen no matter what. So
Yep. You're
yes,
right.
is
You're
it
right.
nice when you're in those areas that have those storms? Will it increase?
Is it nice?
Yes.
That's so sad.
I know that
Go,
sounds terrible to say.
isn't it
It's
nice when
not
that hurricane
nice.
comes through? Yeah, no. I get what you're saying though. Like
Yeah,
truly, and even restoration businesses that I've had that conversation with, just so all of you know, they say the same thing because when that huge restoration event comes through, it's not just the local guy, right?
right. They
Every
come
big
from all
company
over
from
the
all over,
country.
yeah, are
Yep.
coming in. So it's not like you
Yep.
get this influx of a ton of work. So it's the same. And restoration events happen every single day, every single hour.
Every single day,
Yeah. The
unfortunately.
toilet leaking
Um,
upstairs, you're on vacation. you get home and your basement has 3 feet of water, right? And you're like,
Yeah, and then everything that happened between there and what happened, so
absolutely.
so but circling back to your original question before I divert it, once a franchisee signs a franchise agreement with us, they're going
Yeah.
to start the onboarding process. So we
Okay.
have an onboarding specialist that helps them complete several tasks
Okay.
for onboarding. And part of that onboarding is online training. So they're going to have approximately
Okay.
9 weeks of online training that's self-guided. However, they can complete that training much faster than 9 weeks, but that's the longest it should be.
Okay.
So once they complete that in their initial onboarding checklist, then they will have 1 week of in-person training. So, but that is going to be per service line. So again, they're going to start with textiles. So they'll
Textile.
do 1 week of in-person training for textiles.
Okay.
And then when they're ready for electronics, they'll do another 1 week in-person training for electronics and so forth for art, etc. And that way, and it's all like hands-on, like we're
Okay.
gonna, they're gonna be going to a franchise location to do
Okay.
this training. But of
Okay.
course, there's also ongoing training after the fact. This brand heavily, again, because it's a mature brand, already has franchise business consultants in place, right?
Okay.
Whereas Kitchen Guard's just now hiring, we've hired two, right? These franchise business consultants are there, and I don't know if you talk about this with your clients or not, but they're there to help continue your success and they're incentivized by your success. So they help them with ongoing training, cheerleading, P&L support, all these different pieces to really help make sure that they're succeeding. And again, if they succeed,
Okay.
then the FBC succeeds.
No, I love it. I love it. Hopefully you guys understand like the excitement around this is the fact it's different, but you're right. It just checks so many boxes for people. So thanks for finding it, Eversmith and Jamie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
I'm
excited when
excited.
I got the call that they were ready to really kind of launch it again because since Eversmith Brands purchased it, they haven't really been pushing it out there. And we haven't awarded new franchise, just been expanding the current franchisees because they want to make all these tweaks and stuff. So now they're
Sure.
like, all right, let's go. It's time to rock. I got the call. I'm like, yes, let's do this. It's different. It's interesting. It's quite simple, actually. There's some layers of complexity to it, but
Sure.
otherwise, dare them to go in and actually look in their area of what's out there for content restoration. And they may find like a textile restoration or this or that, but to find a brand that covers all of them is really difficult. And even some of these other ones like PuroClean, great brand. I know all the friend dev folks over there, been friends forever. And I saw them at a conference recently and on the Prism brand. And I said, your franchisees do this, right? And the response was some of them do, but not all of them do it. Most of them will, because they're Pure Clean's a national contract for us as well, or a national account. So I was
Okay.
like, oh, I was surprised by that. I didn't know that they could do it. And only a handful of franchisees or a certain small amount do because it's more expensive for those big contractors to get into what we do because of the
Right.
space that's
Right.
needed and the technical
Okay.
ability and stuff. Yeah.
I just love it. But
I
thank you
know.
so
Good.
much, Jamie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you for watching. If you're ready to take the next step, Integrity Franchise Group is here to help. Click the link below or reach out to us today to schedule an appointment. Let's work together to solve that franchise puzzle and turn your business dreams into reality. We cannot wait to connect with you.